forget, you can hear the full-length, longer version wherever you get your podcasts. Sindhu Vee is my guest. Stand-up comedian. Do I have to say comedian or do I say comedian?
Some people just say keep it all gender neutral.
All right,
We're all
stand-up
comedians
comedian.
and actors.
Stand-up comedian, actor, mother, former career woman, basically very impressive package, not in the 70s sense of package in the sense, package of,
Also very impressive package in general. Hello, look at me.
Sindhu can say that.
And I
can't say that. She said it.
Yeah.
I can endorse that message.
Thank you.
And second timer on this podcast. First time during the what was it called, pandemic, but now that's all behind us. We won't see It's Like again, and she's here in person.
Hi, it's great to be here.
It's lovely. I loved talking to you because you got a lot to say,
and I'm only doing the things I really want. So hello, Brydon, and it's wonderful. I'm someone who likes to work. I love it. And especially this is not work for me. What I do, it's that, those people that you hear about, they're like, my passion is my job.
Yes.
I'm that guy at the moment. I don't say things like that, but I am aware that I have a great gift that has been given to me by, I don't know, the powers that be out there. It's a term my friend and I have, SPOTU, Supreme Powers of the Universe. And since we were teenagers, we'd say, we're going to ask SPOTU. And I think Supreme Powers of the Universe have given me a career that's also something I love to do. So when I say I'm taking time off, I'm stopping myself from working a lot because it's not great for my health,
Have you been overworking?
By many people's accounts and by my body's account, my body's been a bit like, bitch, stop. Oh, sorry, can I swear on this podcast?
You can.
Oh, good.
You can.
It would be weird if you said the phrase, bitch, stop. It's not a very Rob phrase, I think. Anyway.
And I've not said it, let's be clear.
Oh, no.
You've kind of raised the spectre that it slipped out between my lips. I'm not saying it.
No, not yet. Anyway, where were we? Oh, yes. I think some people would say I was working too much. But also, I enjoy working as a way of suppressing feelings. I just do. I mean, that's just facts. And I've had a lot of feelings. I've had a lot of loss, my parents and in my family, so back to back. And I've just not wanted to really feel any feelings about that. I just want to get on.
When did this happen?
It's
you blocked it out so much you can't remember.
End of 2019 and then 2021 and then 2022.
Oh, no.
Yeah, one by one. Boop, boop, boop. So, and not that I had three parents, but other people in the family. And I don't often talk about it, but I'm getting to a place now where I can say I like to suppress feelings through work.
Is that healthy?
No. But I smoked for years. That wasn't healthy, but it was great.
All right. Okay. What people should know, and they probably know if they know anything about you, they'll know that you come from a background of business. Finance, right?
Yeah.
Which is unusual in the world of comedy.
Very.
Okay. And then you got into, relatively later in life than a lot of people, into comedy. And now you've gone, whoosh, not become a fascist. You're not giving salutes that you shouldn't.
So my kids think I'm a fascist.
You've gone, whoosh, right?
Yeah. Well.
Into the stratosphere, right?
Thank you.
Super busy, super in demand. Do you still play Edinburgh?
Well, I think I think I'm at the point where I can choose every year if I'm going up or not.
Yeah.
This year I was taking the summer off, so I said no. Last year my father was just getting unwell, so I went and I came back. So yeah, I mean, when we'll see where I'm at next year.
But you're getting more and more acting roles now, aren't you? I mean, they just seem to come one after another. That must be very gratifying. Because it's just opportunities. When you start out in this business, you're just wanting opportunities and they're so hard to come by.
Yes.
That when eventually those doors start to open, it's a lovely feeling.
Yeah, I think when you're in stand-up, it's easier. You're not waiting for the phone to ring. You can go to a club, you can say, I want to try it. And then, of course, there is a trajectory. You sign up for open mic and then you get 5 minutes. But once you're in the circuit, You want a gig, you'll
But the
get a
very
gig.
beginning of that journey, though, I remember, good Lord, I remember the shock of trying to go to an open mic thing and say, I just want to come to an open mic. Okay, you can come back a year this September. I mean, a slight exaggeration, but not much.
No.
And I couldn't believe it. I said, you're not serious. All I want to do is just 5 minutes.
No. Yeah. No. I mean, there are clubs like that. But thankfully, there were also clubs at that time. There was one on Liverpool Street called Dirty Dick's, where you could go and just, if you showed up at 5:30 and put your name down in enough time, you got a slot. Yeah.
Wow, okay.
So I remember doing homework with the children and then giving them their dinner and then waiting for the babysitter and literally legging it to the tube so I wouldn't miss the cutoff. I remember that so clearly.
Which year were you starting to do that?
I would say probably 2015.
Had the smoking ban come in by then?
Oh, yeah, big time.
Right. See, when I started...
Oh, yeah.
Because I'm older than you, I started in the mid-90s. I'm not a smoker.
But everyone must have smoked.
And I'm very intolerant.
Yeah.
And I'd go to these clubs from my fresh-aired home life, and I literally couldn't be in the club waiting to go on. I'd have to find a door and be outside because these places would be like a Dickensian fug of smoke.
Yeah.
And I would be doing things with my voice in my act. Oh. So I'd come on and I'd be like this.
Well, I loved a smoky pub.
I bet you do,
I loved it. In fact, I used to smoke. You could smoke in the smoking room on the trading floor when I started. And so I used to you would like do trades and then tell someone to watch your phone, go dash over. And in the smoking room was like, you couldn't see anything because everyone would be in there just smoking and then come out. I remember my hair, my clothes, everything used to smell of cigarettes.
It would stink.
I used to smoke easily 30 cigarettes a day at that time.
Sweet Lord.
I know.
Where in the world now is it still allowed?
I think Japan.
Oh, yeah.
I think you can still fly on Japanese flights. I don't know. Actually, don't come for me. I'm not sure, but I knew you could for a very long time. I remember when I flew to the UK from India to start university because I'd got a scholarship to study here, and all of the friends there were 9 of us who'd got scholarships to come to the UK. They were all trying to get British Airways. And I wanted to fly Air France because you could smoke in the back of the flight. And my parents were like, why Air France? And I was like, it's a cheaper ticket. I flew Air France, sat in the back, smoked the whole time.
Did they know you smoked?
No. Oh, my God. They would have killed... My mother would have killed me.
That's a hell of a secret to keep from them.
No, because I didn't smoke that much then, like 1 or 2 a day at university.
Oh, you were building up at that stage. You weren't
but
fully
also,
fledged.
No, well, I probably could have smoked more had I not had the fear of death. Mommy would have killed me easily without even blinking.
Your mother was a very strong woman, wasn't she?
Strict.
Is that the better word? Better than strong?
Strict, yeah.
Give me some examples of this strictness, which is so out of step with parenting now.
I remember there was a boy I was in my final year of school. No, he was expelled by then. So the year before. So what's called lower sixth, or the year before you take A-levels. And he had phoned me at home, and we had 2 phones you could pick up upstairs. And he phoned me. It was a very innocent conversation. He said, hi. He was in my class. I knew him. He said, hi, how are you, Baba? Would you like to go out for an ice cream with me? Which in those days in India was quite bold. And I was like, well, Mommy will kill me. Because she was like not having me meeting boys. I had lots of guy friends, and they were always over. But this one-on-one ice cream, and she didn't like him. Because she said he was a rich guy's son who was never going to come to much. Anyway, long story.
And lo and behold, he was expelled.
Yeah. That's because he exploded a bomb in one of the bathrooms. But it wasn't like a big bomb. It did just take off the door.
I think any bomb to me, regardless on size, is a no-no.
No, but
I have daughters, and if they were to say to me, this is... Martin, I should tell you, he let off a bomb in the toilets.
But it wasn't like a bad,
All bombs are bad, Sindhu.
No. On Diwali in India, we have firecrackers, and some of them are called bombs.
Oh, wait a minute, okay.
And they do leave a hole, and they're very unsafe. So him and his friends got a bunch of them together, and there was some other stuff in there.
Cluster bomb is what you're describing now, which is
even worse. They
blew
off the door of the boys' bathroom. But he wouldn't tell who else had done it. So they said, we'll expel you. So he was a good guy.
You admired that, didn't you? Because he had character and principles. He was a principled bomber.
I don't know if I've ever admired him. He's a dear friend of mine. I don't know if I've ever admired him. I just thought, well, you have something going for you, you moron. At least you didn't tell. Anyway, this was a year before this.
So he's on the phone to you.
He said, can you have an ice cream? And I said, no, listen, I don't know. I have to think about it. I'd have to lie and go. But I didn't say all that. I just said, I don't know what mommy will say. And so he said, it doesn't matter if you don't listen to your parents, which, of course, he thinks that. But I was like, okay. He hung up. At that time, my father worked in the government, so we had 2 guards outside our door, and they were called Darban, which came with the job, not anything that my dad was special. My mother came down the stairs. She asked me something about dinner, and she said, and by the way, if you do go for that ice cream, understand this. I will get married to the gardener's brother. Now, the gardener's brother had severe mental health problems and lived in the back of our house, would talk to trees, eat grass, like he had problems. So you always saw him and you were like, this guy's not okay. She'd say, you see him? She said, I'm going to marry you off to him. And as for that boy, I'm going to get the 2 guards are going to go find him and break his legs in so many places, he won't walk again. So you decide if you want to have an ice cream. And she walked out of the room. I was like, I'm not going for ice cream.
And she's not saying this in a humorous way.
No, because my mother I don't remember my mother ever making a threat she didn't carry out. She made them very rarely, but she carried them out. So that's one example of her being very strict. Another example was we were in HSBC here. I had 2 children. And she'd got some cash she wanted me to put in my bank account that she had got from America, some very shady, I don't know what it was. Anyway, because she can't take US dollars back to India, Anyway, we're there. I have to take my passport for some ID stuff. And she says to me, be careful with your passport. Don't leave it there. And I'm like, Ma, I got it. Don't worry about it. She's like, yeah, easy for you to say, don't worry about it. Remember when you left this? Remember when you left that? I'm like, yeah, I'll be fine. I've got 2 children, Rob. I get there. I hand him the thing. She's yap, giving me some shit. And I was like, Mommy, come on. And then he says, yes, that's fine. I say, okay. And I'm turning to leave. And my passport is there. She turns to me and says, see, you left the passport. Gives me a tight slap as she used to. And the HSBC guy looked at her and he went, and she said, why? You are going to call police on me? I don't care. She is adult. And he got so scared, he backed off of the glass. I was like, Ma, you're scaring the HSBC guy. She said, you don't understand. She's always forgetting her passport. You don't. The guy was like, please leave. I took my passport and I said to her, you can't be smacking me here. She said, why? They'll put me in the jail? I will go happy to jail because you are such stupid. It's like, okay.
Wow.
We were very good friends, Mummy and I. She was so funny. I understand a lot. I mean, she was very strict, but it was, you knew what the rules were. She was never, she was a little arbitrary sometimes, but she was never arbitrary. You always knew. I mean, see, I knew. That's why I never said yes to the boy about the ice cream. I was like, Mommy's going to get really upset. I knew.
What's your parenting style with your kids? What's that been?
Not like Mom, because you can't really in the West carry that off without going to jail or your kids getting taken away. And I'm married to a Scandinavian, so that's been something. But also, when you are a very strict parent, but you're in that middle space of like your kid went abroad and I went abroad and I became more liberal and my ideas changed. My mother adapted.
Did she?
And that was
Did she really?
Yeah. And that was very healing for us as a mother and daughter. So I tried to keep that kind of stuff with my kids. Obviously, by everyone's account, I'm too strict, but I know I'm not.
Well, not compared to your kind of baseline is your mother.
Yeah, but also you need to give children need to be resilient.
Yeah.
You can't be raising kids. Does my child like me? It's not about you. You got to raise kids that can go out in the world, get slapped down, and will get up again. And they should be, they need to be resilient. They can't be, like my mom used to say, Mom ki to nahi bani. It's not like you're made of wax. Things get hot and you're going to melt. So I've tried to give that to the kids because, the world is great and fun, but you got to know who you are. And for that, you have to know what your boundaries are. And it's your parents who give you that structure.
I said, love never ends because it's on your T-shirt.
It is.
What that rings a bell. Is that a musical? Is that from Phantom or something? What is that?
I don't know. I just agree.
It's just
a T-shirt that said something I agreed with.
I thought the musical thing because of your appearance in the splendid Matilda musical, which was a lovely thing, wasn't it?
I have to tell you, you've done a lot more acting than me, and that was the first time I'd done something that big. So I really didn't understand how editing works or anything. And it was during COVID, so I didn't know what was going on. When I saw the movie, I was like, this is incredible. Like and then someone said to me, it's called production values. They are high. I was like, is that the term? But they've just done an amazing job.
Yeah.
You know, Matthew is a genius, and also a great support and mentor. But
this is Matthew Warchus. I did a play with him. Did you find him to be the calmest person you've ever met? When we did the play, he's very, very incredibly calm.
Very calm, very soft-spoken, which means when things were not working, you understood because you could actually hear his voice. We're like, oh, I think, you know. But, and also Alicia, who was Matilda, with whom I had all my scenes, she was just a complete gem. Because I forgot my lines in the beginning because I was so nervous. She would whisper them to me. She knew my lines, her lines, but also just great. And she was just like a regular kid. And one of my kids is her age. So in the breaks, we were always playing rock, paper, scissors. And I was like, I'm not going to let you win. And I didn't. Because you can cheat as an adult at that.
You can cheat?
Yeah.
How do you cheat rock, paper, scissors?
Just you wait that split second because kids, they don't get it. They go right for the thing. You wait a split second, then you can decide. I did cheat a bit and I told her I'm cheating. She was like, oh, Sindhu. She was great. So it was a fantastic film. I always liked the story, but I think this way of watching it was quite mesmerizing. I mean, Trunchbull was scary. Kids were crying, which I think is how Trunchbull should be.
Yeah, absolutely.
I loved it.
Yeah. Are you doing more of those? To what extent does that, when you're in something like that, because sometimes you'll get a part in a big thing like that and you'll think, oh, well, here we go. And then time and again, I've had many people, and I've experienced it, say, oh, but nothing really changed after that. But how has it been for you? Because it's a big thing to be in a film.
Well, yeah. I mean, prior to that, I'd done little cameos in either, in sitcoms that my comedian friends had written. I had a tiny, 5-second role in Sex Education. So I just sort of understood it to be something that builds. And then when this came along, I think this, Rob, I didn't really finish Matilda and say, oh, well, I guess now I'm just going to act all the time. I thought that was the anomaly. So I finished Matilda and I did my, I had to change my tour then.
What, to allow the filming?
No, because of lockdown.
Oh, I see.
So then it was that. And then as soon as we could tour, I got out and toured. And at that time I was doing another film, which I was like, oh, okay, great. But then I was like, but I'm going to go on tour. So in some ways, I've been that kind of idiotic person who's not noticing what's really going on because I'm away being like, but what about my 30-day
quite nice though, isn't it? Yeah, rather than stressing out over it.
Looking back, I think that's been great.
Yeah.
So when I did Matilda and, the other thing, I think then I started thinking, oh, this is something I have to think more about. Also, I have to decide, do I enjoy this? Because acting is, to me, it's much more nerve-wracking than stand-up by far.
Because?
Well, you got to do stuff like learn words. And if you get them wrong, someone will say, cut, can we go again? With me, when I'm on stage, you don't know. I could make it all up. No one knows.
And everybody on a lot of film sets, you get the feeling that everybody's at the top of their game. All the crew, all the tech people, they're so good. It usually runs so smoothly. And then it comes down to action.
And you're like, awa, 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 I don't know my line. That's not cool. So you got to learn lines. You've got, there's a lot more going on with acting. And also, acting is like stand-up, a muscle. And I'd never exercised. I mean, that's not true. I was in 2 school plays. One in Godspell, I was a tree.
Yeah, I hear you were very good in that.
And then in another play, I was one of the dancing girls who just goes by.
And does that.
And just goes past the stage. So, But, and then I was like, okay, this is a muscle. I have to exercise it. What does it mean? And so I started to think more about it. And
but what about technique? When you watched yourself back in Matilda,
I couldn't watch in the beginning. I kept closing my eyes.
Right.
And
but when you eventually managed to keep your eyes open, what did you think of you?
I just remember I was so nervous in that scene. I remember being so nervous in that I couldn't separate myself from Mrs. Phelps at all. I was like, I remember being nervous there. I couldn't see what other people were seeing. I just remember how I felt, and I was panicking.
But what about your actual performance? Are you watching the performance and going, oh, that was good. Oh, done too much there. Or
Yeah, now, because I've acted in 2 other things, 2.5. And so again, someone needs practice.
Mm-hmm.
Now, when I watch Matilda, I think, oh yeah, I could have totally done that differently and done that better. But that has taken time. And, you know, I haven't had, I mean, as you go is how you practice. And also the intensity, like when you're a stand-up and you go to Edinburgh, it's like boot camp. You know, I was doing 6-7 gigs a day and then my show for 30 days.
Great.
With acting, it's slower.
Yeah.
And so
totally different rhythm.
That's why it's been good to be around a lot of actors who are both experienced and accomplished, because they'll give you those tips. And they'll say, you're not getting paid for what you're acting, you're getting paid for the waiting.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh, so that's the level at which it is. And also they'll tell you things about how to keep yourself in the right headspace. I think one of the things I'm learning about acting is it's unlike stand-up for me. It's a very interior process.
Yes.
You make all these decisions, all this focus interiorly, including how you are feeling as the character, and then you go do your job. With stand-up, it's very exterior. I'm first of all focused on everyone else in the room. Why are you not laughing? Why did that joke not land?
So the acting then, it seems to me, it doesn't mean as much to you as the stand-up. That still seems more. I was expecting you to say that you're really committed now to the acting, but it seems to me that it's still the stand-up is your bigger thing.
I think I've misrepresented that. I think I have more confidence in my stand-up.
Okay, yeah.
I think I'm more diffident about the acting, but that's changing. But I'm more diffident because I do still feel like I haven't done it enough to know why. Like I haven't been fair. I'm treating it a little bit like a kid who showed up, and I'm like, whose kid are you?
Yeah,
it's my kid.
Yeah.
But I got to get, I have to do that. I think it's that. And maybe there's some deeper thing where I think, I think being dependent on acting is so nerve-wracking because you're always waiting for the phone call.
God, yes.
So maybe I don't want to think of it like that.
There's a great autonomy to stand up. If you've developed an audience that are willing to come and see you, it's a great feeling.
It is. But there's something about acting I really enjoy, which is still very mysterious to me. And I think it might be the real imagination of it all. Because I'm never myself. Even if I'm playing an Indian lady, it's not me.
Yeah.
And you get to really be in your head and imagine this person and then somehow try and filter it out through your face.
Yeah.
That's quite fascinating.
Yeah. Oh, well, I think you should do more and more
I
of it.
I hope to. No, and for anyone who's listening, and especially anyone who does casting, Rob is wrong. I don't dislike acting more than stand-up.
I didn't say you dislike it. I said
it's just, I think I'm feeling my way.
It wasn't as big a thing for you.
Yeah, well, I don't know about that, but I do think that it's something that I have less comfort with. But I've just finished a few things, and all acting work, and I always...
Tell me what they are. What things?
So after Matilda, I did a film... Well, first of all, I acted in my own... the pilot of a script that we're writing, which was non-TX, and it was great. Mm-hmm. It's called Winning, and it's like my stand-up life and my acting life came together.
Yeah.
And I was very excited because I had some great actors agreed to act on that.
Who are these great actors?
So my husband was played by the Danish actor Kim Bodnia.
Right.
Do you know him?
I won't pretend that I do.
Do you know did you watch the show The Bridge?
Yes.
He was the detective.
Oh, all right. Fair enough.
Yeah. So him and I think I can say this. Victoria Hamilton was my nemesis at work. Yes. And I was on the trading floor.
Fantastic.
It was great. So that was just a little thing we did. But I had all these actors and that was pre-Matilda. So I was like, what is acting? And they were like, we're going to show you. And so that was fun. Then I did Matilda. And then I've got a small but very fun role in a movie called North Star.
Oh, who's in that now?
Kristen Scott Thomas and Sienna Miller, Scarlett Johansson, Frida Pinto. Okay, that's what's going on.
Well, I mean, if we're judged by the company we keep, Sindhu, we're judging you very well.
That was great. That was super fun.
I want to take back what I said earlier about acting not being, although you used the word diffident.
I am more diffident.
Yeah, well, I would ease back on the diffidence.
Yeah, I know.
I would tone down the diffidence.
And just get
bring up the enthusiasm and the confidence.
Confidence. That's the word.
Confidence.
Confidence, yeah.
Oh, so that side of things is all kind of...
Yeah.
Okay, I 100% take back what I said earlier.
No, but it's also because I have this kind of very, acting is it, but it's building, and I do love it. And and so there's that. And then there's, earlier this year I finished.
Hang on, she's about to say another thing.
Well, I mean, I can keep it to myself.
No, share it.
I finished filming a series for Amazon.
Yes. Which series is this?
It's called Pradeeps of Pittsburgh. It's a very funny show, and it'll be out at some point. It's about an Indian family in the present day who go to the US from India.
Did you film it over there?
In Canada.
Well, I totally want to take back my earlier comment. I look like an absolute idiot. You sit there being diffident. And wow.
So that was great. That actually was. So it's a series. It's 8 episodes. We did it in 2.5 months. The hours were long, but it was like Edinburgh boot camp.
Yeah. Once again, I want to withdraw what I said earlier.
But I don't think you said anything wrong. I think you just said, I think this is because
I did. I made a big play about how acting isn't important to you. I then discover you've been doing it 24/7 for the last 2 years, unbeknownst to me. I thought Matilda was a blip. A very nice blip.
Matilda was the start.
Matilda was just the beginning. Sindhu Vee coming to a screen near you soon.
That makes it sound like I'm in the kind of movies that I actually haven't been in, but okay.
It's only a matter of time, Sindhu. It's only a matter of time.
Feels like I'm going to be in... Someone was saying to me, are you going to do Marvel next? And I'm like, is that now the natural progression, that if people think you're doing well in the movies, you're going to be in a Marvel movie?
They're the biggest films, aren't they? They're humongous films.
Yeah, but I feel like to be in a Marvel movie, you have to not eat what you want and stuff and get really buff. I don't know. Would you do a Marvel movie? Would you go on those intense diets?
Not if it involved being away for months on end, no. And they often do. If it was a tiny little come in and do it and go, yeah. But like, I should stress, they're not offering, so...
No, but still, but would you do the food thing and the exercise thing to get really buff?
I don't get cast in those sort of roles, Sindhu. No one's going to come to me and say, but you've got to be buff.
It's Marvel, everyone's buff.
No, I would be the humorous friend of the buff guy.
Okay, fine. So you wouldn't have to do the dieting.
I know my place. What a pleasure. Thanks for coming here and talking to us. And once again, acting isn't taking a backseat. That's what we're going to call this. Sindhu Vee, acting is in the front seat.
Thank you.